So I will again share the screen. We'll go back to the tenses PPTs and then go for clauses. Okay. So I'll start sharing my screen. So we saw yesterday till this, if you remember this, where I had made a mistake of not adding the fourth part of the type of sentence perfect continuous. This also we saw yesterday, isn't it? Something you do regularly and this all this. Then coming to, you see, all the three tenses. So I've not given the heading. You yourself can identify. I walk, what tense it will be?
Simple past tense.
Simple
Past tense. Simple past.
Present tense.
Simple present. This
Future.
one will be I
Future.
walk.
Simple
Yes,
future.
simple.
Future.
Then coming to continuous.
Past continuous.
Past
Past
continuous.
continuous.
Present
Present
continuous.
continuous.
Present
Future
continuous.
continuous.
Future continuous.
Continuous.
Perfect tenses.
Past
Past perfect.
perfect.
Past
Present
perfect.
perfect. Future
Present
perfect.
perfect. Future perfect.
Future.
So we have the next part why I have not included, because in future we won't have present perfect continuous. What you will have? I had been.
Have been.
I had been.
Yes, I have been walking for
Walking.
present perfect continuous. Okay. Now, shall we go on to before going on to the exercise? I didn't show you the structures for all the three tenses. Only present tense I showed you, isn't it? See this pictorial representation. I said this also another way of representing. See, can you see the English tenses?
Yes.
All the four have come into this. If you notice, I will share the PPT. What is happening? Simple, and they have put in all that. This is the form of a butterfly. They have put all the simple tenses. Then in the next one, all the continuous tenses. Then the third one is all the perfect tenses.
All the perfect.
And here, perfect continuous. Okay. So this also I'll share it with you. We'll go back to the next one. I showed you the structure of present tense yesterday and asked you to do for past tense. But in this, I have not included for you what? The negative and interrogative. That actually Naveen had introduced. So I thought I will talk about that also. See here, past tense. The simple past will have root verb plus ed or only d. Yes. For example, when I say here, heard, but play, played. I've given you examples. But there are irregular past tense also. Like when I say go, what is happening?
When.
Went.
Take.
Took.
There are many more like that. I've just showed you because there are few like sleep, slept, leave, left.
Speak, spoken.
Yes.
Speak, spoke, spoken.
Spoke. Spoken becomes your past participle.
Yes.
Speak,
Speak, spoke.
spoken will be your participle form.
Yes. Eat, ate.
Run,
Yes.
ran.
Eat, ran, ran.
Sing, sang.
Sing,
Become,
sang.
became.
Yes. Become, became.
Freeze, froze.
Yes. Freeze,
Fly, flew.
fly, flew. So many irregular verbs are also there because we cannot stick to ed and d alone. That is why I brought in this, because there will be irregular verbs also. And coming to this past continuous only, you have all shown me different ways, different ideas, wonderful ideas. So was and were plus the root verb plus ing. Here the question of irregular verbs also will take up like this only. See, when we say slept, but when we are using continuous tense, what will happen?
Sleeping.
Was sleeping only.
Was sleeping.
Were sleeping, was sleeping only. Same way when I take go, going, take, taking. I will not use the other past tense as took and went and all those things. It will only take the root verb. Then coming to present past perfect. Here, unlike present perfect, in past perfect, we have only had. For both singular and plural, only had. Perfect tense will only have had plus a past participle form of the verb. Yes. They had gone to the cinema last night. They had gone to cinema last night. See, for plural I'm using. For singular, how you look? He had gone to the cinema last night. For singular and plural. Just give me 1 second. Sorry.
I have gone.
Yes. What, ma'am? I didn't hear you properly. So they had gone to the cinema last night. So they or he or she, everything will be only had. So there is no change in singular plural for your perfect tenses.
Past perfect.
Yes. Then coming to your past perfect continuous, had been plus root verb plus ing.
Yeah.
They had been living in Kerala for the past 5 years. Or even I can change it to she. She had been living in Kerala for past 5 years.
Had only.
Even I had been living in Kerala for past 5 years, you can say. Unlike present continuous, what is happening for I, it becomes am.
He becomes is, she is, it is.
But in past tense, had will be same for everyone.
Both.
Singular or plural.
That's
And
plural.
all the 3 persons.
Had.
First person, second person, third person.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Star children feel very difficult in irregular verbs.
Ah,
They do well with regular verbs. While
Okay.
it comes to irregular, it feels like they feel little.
Lost. They tried
Yeah.
to sleep.
Yeah. So,
So
do you have any
no,
Any suggestion?
we can give a table. See, usually for what we do for past participle, we give a table. So like that for irregular verbs, maximum possible, we can give a table for them to write it down once in their classworks, grammar classwork, and ask them to, if they have a doubt, to refer it. So see, this and all comes by, we cannot keep on asking them to memorize. These comes with habit, because that's why the difference between the second language learners and native learners. Automatically native learners will get it, but second language, so what we have to do, we have to keep reinforcing and try to give exercises more with irregular verbs, so that it repeatedly keeps on registering. Even for a simple go, went, many of them make mistakes. It has become their habit to make mistakes. So what we have to do is try to frame a table with all irregular verbs and ask them to write it in their classwork. So it will be like a ready reckoner for them to see and do it. So when we give rules for reported speech, we tell them have it in your classwork. So whenever you're doing, see that. If you have a doubt, look at it and do it. So same way, when we have them like a ready reckoner, the table we give them, the irregular verbs, what we can do, we can ask them. So in the initial stages, we can ask them to see and do it if they have a doubt. And we also should insist on giving more exercises with the irregular verbs when they are having. See, repeated reinforcing on that, it will not automatically come to them. Or while talking, while using, ask them to use, play a game. In the lunch break, ask the good students to always talk with them using past tense. make them to say past tense. So when they are using repeatedly, this will get unknowingly registered on them. So these things, when we are doing tenses, we can do it as an activity in the class. We can call out, we can even play like a dumb charades. Ask them to say the past tense. Ask one boy to enact and tell them it happened earlier, like that. So what you will say for that? Show them like they are sleeping. Tell them what you will say. You can put it up on the board. Tell them past tenses. And you can ask those boys, the start people, to come and write on the board when they identify it correctly. So that will really surely register on them. So usually when I'm doing grammar, the answers for the grammar exercise, I make the star pupils, or sometimes the star pupils make mistake. I call the good students to come and write on the board. If they are very happy to come to the board, everybody will say, ma'am, I want to write. They may be making wrong mistakes in the class, but we have to, more than the prose and poetry, when we are teaching grammar, we cannot finish it within a day. We have to devote little extra time for grammar alone. So when, especially during revision and all, when I'm doing in the class, usually I call the parents and parent-teacher meet also, I tell them, ma'am, prose and poetry learning question answers you will be able to do. So when I'm doing revision, I will concentrate more on grammar. So don't expect me to do it for a question answer part. Don't you train them in your house. It is very easy for them to teach them spellings we are correcting and giving it to them. So ask them to help them to memorize or do whatever, however you want. Question answers is direct. But grammar is what I keep on repeatedly. Grammar and writing skills is what, when we are doing revision for exams, we always allot, especially when it is terminal exams, we are all given 2 weeks in our notes of lesson, 2 weeks for revision. So mostly the 2 weeks I will utilize only for giving grammar exercises and for writing skills. Sometimes the parents have come and asked me, because the paper pattern has changed, ma'am, for 10 marks, you're devoting more time than the 40 marks that is being allotted for literature. I say that 40 marks you will be able to teach. But the 10 marks, which I am teaching them, which I am making them do exercises, will help them to write writing skills, comprehend, everything will happen. When I make their grammar strong, even if the question answers, if they forget, they will be able to write on their own, because they are confident of framing their own sentences, grammatically correct sentences. So I tell the parents, ma'am, you're not doing this. Sometimes they used to come and complain. I used to tell, ma'am, this is the reason for which I'm doing, always insist on during revision time on grammar, more on grammar. So at those times when we are having time for them to do revision, call the star people to come and write on the board. How many of you have done calling the students to the board to write the answers?
I have done, ma'am.
You have done. So what is your response in the class?
Sometimes
They will enjoy to do that.
They are all excited to come to the board, actually speaking. If you have, just try it in your classrooms, because when they want to write something on the board, they are very, very happy. Even if they do not know the answer, they would like to come to the board, or they will ask their peer, their classmate next to, hey, tell me the answer for this. And then immediately they will raise their hands. So when they hear like this and come and write on the boards, it really registers in their mind. What we can do, we can also divide the class into 2. Sometimes I've done that with little higher class, like 7th and 6th standard becomes too excited to this game. What I used to do, make them stand in a row. Okay, divide them into 2 teams, A and B. Give sentences with blanks on the board. 2 sets of sentences on the board. Ask boys in turn to come and fill it up. Goes behind the other, while standing in a line, everybody gets a chance. So you can tell them, today this first 10 plus 10, 20 boys are going to get. Tomorrow with another grammar tenses, another 20 boys. So you come and stand in line. They will do very quietly. I tell them, if noise level goes, we will not have activity. Then they will all be quiet. Because they don't want to sit in their desk. They want to get up and come out. Do something. Especially when we are dealing with boys. Boys are hyperactive more than the girls. So to put them to tune them or to bring them in line to our way, to tone their energy, this is the only way. Make them stand. So they'll be waiting. I'll say I'm going to time it. This 10 sentences, the boys have to do it within 15 minutes. So they'll keep little running also. They will stand in between the desks. That row where we are leaving gap, I make them stand. So I make them stand and ask them to come one by one to the board. They themselves will pass the chalk like they are playing a relay. I'll say whichever team, we'll see whoever is finishing it first. And the number of right, you are getting the marks, you will be given a star. So like that, we have to keep motivating them so they will come prepared for it. See, we will can allot less number of very good boys at the when we want, and more for the star people. Give them chance. So next we can tell them, come prepared for it tomorrow. So they will come prepared for it. Because those who are coming prepared only can come to the board, means they will surely come to the board. They will all love to come to the board. So when we say activity, means surely students will come. See, when we had this art integrated learning, even
This is a
though we had
very
the
good tip.
corona period, pandemic time, but we were able to collect art integrated so much. The boys came up with ideas, and they
I think
themselves presented so many PPTs. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I've been repeating.
you have given a very good tip, ma'am.
Oh,
I'll also follow that, because when we call, all will excited and will rush and difficult to
and
manage the
class will be too noisy. Tell them to form a line.
Yeah, I know this idea. I like it. That I'll ask them to make the chart, and those who have brought the chart will be allowed to come to the board. So I think that way I could manage the class also.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. So like this, we should keep on, but it is food for our thought only. We have to keep on telling them. No doubt they will make noises, but it is our duty to try to engage them in some activity, because as such, I feel, because I've handled both, girls also, boys also. So engaging boys only takes difficulty, but what happens? But boys will listen to you. Once, especially when it is activity, you promise them activity, they will be ready to do it. They are very happy to do it. So this kind of activity for tenses is very simple, but at the same time, it will register for them very well. Next, we will go to future tense, but I told you this part of future tenses become redundant. Now it is not in use, but I have brought in you the structure. Okay. So simple future will have will or shall plus the root verb. So am I right in doing that? For the first one, will or shall plus the root verb will show simple future. Okay. Future continuous, will or shall plus root verb plus ing I have given. But I feel I made a mistake here. Can anybody identify what is the mistake?
You forgot
B,
add B.
B, ma'am.
Be going, continuous tense. With present tense, present continuous, will be going, we add to for be form of the verb. Yes. So that will also indicate future continuous. She will be going. Yes. So, but I have written in the example correctly.
Yeah, example is correct.
But here I have made the mistake of not adding the be form of the verb, because we have to have the be form of the verb. Isn't it? Now
Yes.
is it now it is right?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
It was done on purpose.
To check us,
So yes, just to make you aware, just to see whether you are concentrating on what I'm going the PPT. See, all these techniques also you can use in the blackboard also.
Yeah.
purposely write some spellings wrong on the board. The good students will immediately point out. So you tell, okay, where I have gone wrong, you are saying it is wrong. Call the star people. See, I have gone wrong, he is telling. You come and identify. So that spelling you will never forget.
Okay, ma'am.
Once in a while, not all the time, we cannot call them on board because we also have our curriculum, our things to finish in time. What I'm saying, all the activities, we cannot have it in class all the time. But once in a while like this, when you make it, the students will be very interested in your class. Oh, ma'am will give us some chance somewhere. We will be able to do it. She will not make us sit and be idle here. Sometimes she will pull me out. So like that, we have to keep them engaged. So this is future tense. Now shall we go to the exercise?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, okay, we have not done future perfect. Future perfect will also have. Will and shall have gone to school. John will have gone because I can, there no use of a has. Like in present perfect, we had has. But here to show singular, we won't have has. Will has gone, we cannot say. John will has gone, will not say. We will only use have here. Future perfect, I have given you the structure, but it is now become redundant. We are not using it anymore here. Okay, so this exercise, we will go to this exercise which I was showing you yesterday. But I said since we finish only, you will be able to see it. I'll just try to, you are able to see my PPT?
Yes,
Read
ma'am.
it.
Yes, ma'am.
See what I have done. It dash rain outside when Sam got out of bed and looked out of the window. So backside you write was raining. Then next again, James said he wanted to play football anyway and he did not care about the rain. So this in this what I'm doing, not only I'm teaching them past continuous and past tense,
Past
I
tense.
brought in all the past tense. What I'm doing, I'm also developing a story like this, rather an incident like this. So what he did, he picked up his phone and sent a text to his friend James. No football today. How about going to a cinema? So then Sam changed his mind and decided to play too. And what did he do? Left the house to join James in the park. Okay. So like this, I have fully, sorry, it has run away. So like this till when they arrived, that James had found some other kids to play with and they had enough people for a full match. So I have developed the story and asking at the same time, each flashcard you can have, fold it both ways, one side the question, one side the answer. And we can use all the flashcards or you can have it in the same paper and ask them to rearrange it also to get the story also, correct story also. So I have two of them. See, I have rearranged the story, the full story. It was raining outside when Sam got out of the bed and looked out of the window. James said he wanted to play football anyway and didn't care about the rain. While they were playing football, it stopped raining and Sam was really happy. He hadn't gone to the cinema. So here it is not rearranged actually. He was walking home thinking about the goals he has scored that day when he saw his mom drive past. So I have not put, this is not in proper order. The story is not here in proper order, but only the answers of the past tense, all the four tenses are being used here. Past tense forms are being used here. But you will have to ask them to put the story in proper sequence. So it becomes like teaching them to, asking them to do an exercise on past tense and at the same time developing the story, putting it in a proper sequence. So the sequencing, so this will be helpful for them in writing skill, at the same time the grammar part. Okay, no need to copy anything. All these PPTs, I'll be sharing it with you. So you can use it for your classes. So is tenses clear? Shall we next go to clauses?
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yes, of course, come up, ma'am.
How can I differentiate the perfect as well as perfect continuous tense, ma'am, to the students?
We can
Where
use,
do we use perfect and where do we use perfect continuous tense?
we'll go to that 1 minute. So we see the structure here. So when we use the perfect and when we use perfect continuous. See, for example,
ma'am.
when the perfect tense, how we are going to teach them? Perfect tense is what the action is completely we cannot repeat anything. Okay, the action is complete. She had driven the car and met with an accident. Okay, or she had taken the car and met with an accident. So the action is, we cannot undo anything related to that action. Can we do anything there? Because the action is
No,
completely
this
over.
is completed.
When it is come to past perfect continuous tense, they had been living in Kerala for past 5 years. What I'm telling here, maybe they have a connection with Kerala here. And also they may continue to live there. They had been living in Kerala for past 5 years means what do I mean here? Already they were living 5 years and still they are continuing. That is the continuation. Because past action has some continuity to the present is where you use your continuous tense. Okay?
Not clear, ma'am. Then what about present perfect, ma'am? Action already started.
Started, but still, see, when again go to the structure of present tense. What
Ma'am,
is happening? See, they have gone to the theater. Sunita has bought a bicycle. Okay? See, they have gone to the theater means in the theater they are working. They have gone to the theater. What is happening? So they may be enjoying in the theater. Okay?
Yes,
It is
ma'am.
the present tense, they are enjoying in the theater. But when it is coming to continuous, present perfect continuous, she has been working on this answer. Still she continues to do. She has not solved it. Okay. Maybe
Action already started, still it is going on. Not yet
going
completed.
on. So again, the relationship of the earlier action is still going on here. Now, so perfect tenses, if you see, it always have a relationship with what is already happened. That is why we are using past participle form of it here.
Okay.
I think, is this, I'm reading a sentence, please tell me it is correct. The sentence you told earlier, she had driven the car and met with an accident and had been hospitalized till now. Is it correct?
Had been hospitalized. But see, all that action does not have any relationship now for what is going to happen now. Yes?
Yes.
Uh,
I didn't
see,
get.
Not clear, ma'am.
listen, you said all this. Okay, she had driven the car. No more connection of driven over had driven. Okay, had met with an accident. No more connection with the accident. But the next sentence is like a clause that it has got a repercussion of what she has met with an accident. Because of that, she is admitted.
Yes, ma'am.
She met with an accident. So she had been admitted in the hospital.
So she had been, okay.
She had been admitted in the hospital. It becomes a dependent clause then. Okay, that has gotten, so you have to
Ma'am,
use.
can we, excuse me,
clause.
ma'am, can we use past perfect there, ma'am? She met with an accident.
Uh,
She had admitted in the hospital. Can we use like that?
She met with an accident is a simple present, past tense.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah.
She had admitted in the hospital. What
had
she said
been
is she had been.
She
Why
had-
don't we use perfect there, ma'am? Why don't we use past perfect there?
See, when
Can we use it?
yes, you can have a simple past tense with the past perfect also.
So how can we differentiate it, ma'am? Where do we use simple past and where do we use past perfect, ma'am?
When you want, where to use past perfect is when you want to show that action has got some relationship with what is
With the simple past.
So when you say she met with an accident, you're not having a relationship. So there you have to use she had met with an accident and she had been admitted in the hospital. We want to show that it is the outcome of what has happened earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you have to use both as perfect tenses. When
Yes,
you use one as simple past and another one as past perfect, then this action does not have the relationship to the other action. It does
Madam,
not continue.
can we take like when two actions in a sentence is expressed in the past, one can be in simple past and other one as past perfect? Is it okay?
It can be, but if you want to have a link with what has already happened, then you have to use past perfect. You can have a sentence. Okay, he had taken that car, or he drove a Mercedes Benz. Okay, she drove a Mercedes Benz. I'm saying a simple past. Okay,
Yes.
she drove a Mercedes Benz. She had met with an accident means I have to use, when I wanted to connect it to the earlier sentence, then I have to use past perfect. But I don't want anything to do with the first sentence. She drove a Mercedes Benz. She met with an accident is okay. But when you say she had met with an accident means when I want to link it to the earlier one, which is because of driving the car, then I have to use the perfect tense. But I can have a sentence, but when I say she had met with an accident, it need not be she had met with an accident because of the car driving. Okay.
Yes.
When you want to connect with the past action for either it is present perfect or past perfect or future perfect, when you want to have the action should be the follow-up or the repercussion of what has happened already, then both have to be in in the perfect tenses. But when you don't want to relate it, you can have a present tense and a present perfect tense.
Now, one sentence should be out, ma'am, to clear my understanding. When I reached the station, the train had left already.
Yes, that's correct.
When I reach the station, it is or see, when I reached the station, the train had left already. Had left already is a past perfect tense, no doubt. But how you are relating it by using it as a dependent clause. Clause plays a role here. You are not bothered about here whether it is past perfect in the first part of the sentence also. These will come under conditional clauses. When you deal in depth with conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional. When I use past tense in the main clause, the subordinate clause or the
plus V1
clause will have a certain
would
rules
plus
are there.
V1.
Yes, that will come under three conditionals.
Yes,
Conditional clauses. Okay, don't confuse yourself with the clauses. Okay, there it becomes a compound sentence. It is not a simple sentence at all. When we are combining two sentences, it becomes compound sentences.
Yes.
Okay. So when you write a simple sentence, one sentence, that is one main clause, then you are using past perfect or perfect continuous, you have to. But when you are combining two sentences, making it as a compound or a complex sentence, then we use the subordinating conjunction there and make it into clauses. There only the question of whether we can use in the first, when you have the conditional clauses, the first main clause, when we use this, what will happen in the subordinate clause is very important. Okay, there only the different sentences will come. When we are using a simple present tense, in the main clause, the if clause will have a future tense. So those conditionals, we will see that the three different conditionals is different. So don't confuse yourself here in the tenses part. So got it, ma'am? Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. Shall we then go to clauses here?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Shall I close the PPT on tenses? Is it all clear? Any more doubts? I think. Any more doubts? Shall I stop sharing this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, when we say clauses, okay, before I start clauses, I just want to give you a recap about what is a clause, what is a phrase. All of you know, isn't it? What is a clause, what is a phrase? Once again, but I will tell you what it is. Phrase and clauses are made up of group of words, like a sentence. But when we call it a clause, we call it a clause when it has got a subject and a predicate. Sometimes the subject may be hidden in the main clause. Like when I say sit down, when there are orders, march forward, subject may be hidden, but that's still a main clause. Because very essential for the main clause is to have a verb, subject and a predicate. But in a phrase, I say the clear blue sky. When I say the clear blue sky, what is happening here? I am having a subject, the sky, but I don't have a predicate, I don't have a verb. That group of words are called as phrases. The red bag, the beautiful little rabbit. These all becomes your phrases. So today we are not going to deal with phrases. We are going to deal with clauses. So when I say clauses, what is it made up of? First, I will tell you what is a clause. And then go on to say what is a main clause, what is a subordinate clause. It is subordinate clause which have the kinds. Noun clause, we have the noun clause, we have the adjective clause, we have the adverb clause. So first we will see what is a clause. I will again share a PPT with you first to understand what is a clause and then go to the main and subordinate clauses. Okay. So first I'm going to tell you what is a clause, an introduction to clause. Wait, oh, went off to that PPT. So what is a clause? Oh, sorry, in this itself you have a what is a clause. A clause is a group of related words that contains a subject and a verb, which I told you already, subject and predicate. So in predicate, what is very essential, we should have a verb, but it does not necessarily contain a complete thought. Sometimes the main clause will not be over. When it comes to teaching students about clauses, most teachers begin by separating clauses into two types: dependent clause and independent clause. The distinction between two is fairly easy for advanced learners, but for beginners, intermediate student, taking difference between two can be a bit difficult. Yet, knowing the difference between dependent and is a key aspect of writing the effective sentences. See, what is here? First, clause is a group of words. It contains a subject and a predicate, and it contains a verb. When a particular clause, when a particular sentence can stand alone, which gives a complete sense, then we call it as a main clause. For example, when I say, I have 5 pens, am I having a subject?
Yes.
Subject I. Do I have a verb? Have. Does it convey a meaning for you?
Yes, I have 5 pens. Yes.
And conveys a meaning. That becomes your independent clause. Any sentence for that matter, whether it is a negative sentence, affirmative sentence, declarative sentence, any sentence for that matter becomes your main clause. But what happens if I say this sentence? If it rains, tomorrow will be a holiday. when I identify this, there are two parts to this sentence. Yes, very simple sentence I've taken. If it rains, tomorrow will be a holiday. So I'm going to write this sentence with a comma in between. If it rains, comma, tomorrow will be a holiday. So let us identify this sentence. First, I will take if it rains. Does it have a subject?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Does it have a verb?
Yes.
Yes. So is it a clause?
Yes.
Because it satisfies the two criteria.
Yeah.
Subject and a verb is there.
Yes.
But to call it as an independent clause or a main clause, does it convey full meaning if I say if it rains?
It doesn't.
No.
Doesn't.
It doesn't.
Incomplete.
There is something
doesn't.
lagging, something incomplete.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. But now let's go to the identify, do research on
Main
the
clause.
tomorrow will be a holiday.
It
Here,
gives the meaning.
there is a subject. There is a subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A verb.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Holiday. Where it makes. Does it make a complete sense?
Yes, it makes.
Yeah.
Because to 90% it makes complete sense.
Yes.
For what reason tomorrow
Yes,
will be
ma'am.
a holiday? We are not having. Isn't it?
Yes, we are not.
We say tomorrow will be a holiday.
Yes, ma'am.
In some context, I would have said it. Yes. So I need 10%
Yeah.
to make it a complete sense. That only the dependent clauses makes it here. I will say that as the main clause, the independent clause. Tomorrow will be a holiday, it does convey sense. But we would like to know a reason. So there, if it rains, completes the sentence. Yes, tomorrow will be a holiday can stand alone. That becomes your independent clause or the main clause.
Yeah.
If it rains will be your dependent clause. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
you
right.
understood this, why we are calling it as a independent clause and main subordinate clause, or we call it dependent clause. Yes, I want one of you to read it once again. Now the what is there in this PPT. Now after I giving you the example, is it clear? You should say, tell me before I proceed to the next part. Can anyone read for
A
me?
class. Can I
Yes,
read, ma'am?
Yes.
A class is a group of related words that contains a subject and a verb, but it does not necessarily contain a complete thought. When it comes to teaching students about class, most teachers begin by separating clauses into two types, dependent classes and independent classes. The distinction between the two is fairly easy for advanced English speakers to spot, but for beginning and intermediate students, recognizing the difference between the two can be a bit difficult. And yet, knowing the difference between a dependent and independent class is a key aspect of writing effective sentences and communicating ideas.
So is it clear now? Let's now
Yes.
go to the main clause. See what this actual main clause consists of. Can another student read? Sorry, can another teacher read? I'm sorry, slip of my tongue.
Doesn't matter.
Can I read?
Sure, sure.
What are the different types of clause? What is a main clause? A main clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb and can form a complete sentence on its own. Main clauses are also often referred to as an independent clause as they don't need any additional information to make sense. They can stand alone perfectly fine without the support of another clause. They express a complete thought. Sentences can consist of two main clauses or a main clause and another type of clause. When there is only one main clause and another different type of clause, The second clause depends on the main clause to make sense. Examples of main clauses include the cat mewed, his car broke down at the station, the girl laughed loudly.
Yes. So this is what I was telling you. Sentences can be with only main clause, or it can have two clauses. One can be the main clause, another can be a dependent clause. But it can also sometimes have two main clauses, but with a coordinating conjunction.
Conjunctions.
When we are using conjunctions, we can have two main clauses which can stand alone without the conjunction.
Two or more also, ma'am. Two main
But
classes
two
or more
more
than.
also, it becomes complex sentences then.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Connected by coordinating conjunctions.
But in English, what we do, when we are teaching, especially second language, we are taking it as, we teach the students to write simple sentences. Always, because we are writing it for communication. If the sentence is very long, we try to make it a point to tell the children to divide it into simpler sentences.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't actually encourage them to write 2-3 sentences put together using conjunctions. Isn't it?
They'll make mistake.
Yes, they will make mistakes. So the communication part will become wrong. So we don't encourage students to write complex sentences, keep on adding using and, or, all that. We tell them to write as a separate sentence. Make it a simple sentence so that it is easy for them, because we are not native speakers.
Yes, ma'am.
So don't try and make them write with too many conjunctions. We can have, but don't do that. Especially when they are in 6, 7, 8, they are not so well, they don't become so proficient by then to able to tackle those things. Okay. So
Sure.
next, we will go to the next PPT on what are subordinate clauses. Who can read?
Shall I, ma'am?
Yes.
What are subordinate clauses? Unlike main clauses, subordinate clauses need a little help to make sense, and they are also often referred to as dependent clauses. A subordinate clause is a clause that can't stand alone as a complete sentence, even though it contains a subject and a verb. It doesn't contain a complete thought like a main clause does. It has to be linked to the main clause using a subordinate conjunction. Examples of subordinate clause include sitting happily, the chicken laid eggs. The chicken who was busy laying eggs sat happily. Looking over the hill, she sighed wistfully. She sighed wistfully, looking over the hill. The girl who was looking over the hill sighed wistfully. Sitting happily is a subordinate clause because it's not a complete thought. It needs the main clause, the chicken laid eggs, to make any sense to the reader. Because of this, a subordinate clause is known as a type of dependent clause.
Yes. So, see, when you read those examples as a whole, it conveys meaning. But when you divide and read, where there are commas, there may be a subject, there may be a verb. Then only we call it a clause. If there is no subject and verb, we don't call it a clause, we call it a phrase. We don't call it a clause at all. But when it cannot stand alone, or when it cannot express full thought, then we call it as a dependent clause. So main clauses can stand alone and give complete ideas, but subordinate clauses
Cannot stand alone.
And yes, see, one thing you can notice here in the example, they are dividing the sentences using a comma. But sometimes clauses can, main and dependent clauses put together, we can use even without using a comma. That we will see later in the exercises. But just I'm showing you, this itself we'll be able to identify which is the main clause, which is the subordinate clause. In the second sentence, which is the main clause, can anybody say? Sitting happily, the chicken laid eggs, I don't want. The second example, the chicken who was busy laying eggs sat happily, which is the main clause.
The chicken sat happily.
Very good. Yes, the chicken sat happily is this, because like this only we should give the students also sentences, because who was busy laying eggs is the description. It will become your adjectival clause. The main clause becomes the chicken sat happily. Okay, so that is why the demarcation of given by using commas. We should make the students first identify the main clause and subordinate clause, then before teaching the kinds of clauses. See the next one also, if you see the last one, the girl who was looking over the hillside wistfully. The girl sighed wistfully will be the main clause. Who was looking over the hill will be your dependent clause or in a subordinate clause. But in the other three sentences, it is easily we are able to identify.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So next coming, can we now proceed to the different kinds of clauses?
Yes, ma'am. We shall.
Yes, ma'am.
We shall.
See, at simple way how we are going to see which are the three types of clauses. I will show PPT which have a different one for each one separately. But at a glance, what all we are going to learn? We are going to learn noun clauses. A clause that does the work of a noun is called a noun clause. We'll not look into the examples now because you will find it little confusing unless we know what is a noun clause, what is an adjective clause, what is an adverbial clause. Just for you at a glance, what we are going to do, I have taken this PPT. Adjective clauses, a clause that the work of an adjective is called an adjective clause. Adverbial clause, a clause that does the work of an adverb is an adverbial clause. So I assume that you all know what is an adjective, what is an adverb. Yes, adjective is that says more about the noun. Adverb from the word itself.
Talk about the verb.
About the verb. So we will first go into this. No, not this. So first I am going to go with adjective clause. Okay. What is, oh, sorry, shall we go off to noun clause first? That will be much better because we'll see the same order in which we have done.
Yes.
My PPTs might have just overlapped. That is okay. So what are noun clauses? So we have to have main clause, subordinate clause. In the subordinate clause only we have types. We don't identify types in the main clause. See, first you should remember that very clearly. We will identify the kinds only in the subordinate clauses. Okay, so we have to remember that types or kinds of clauses will come only in the subordinate clause. So a noun clause is any clause that works in the same way as a noun. Actually speaking, the subordinate clause, when it is a noun clause, we can replace it with one noun. That is the way to identify. In other words, you could replace the clause with a noun. That's what I was saying, that it would still make sense. Noun clauses act in the same way as a noun or a pronoun. It contains a subject and a verb, but not a complete thought. So it cannot stand as its own sentence. A noun clause starts with the pronoun or subordinating conjunctions. So usually, and if you have seen the clauses, the subordinate clauses itself will start with the subordinating conjunction. What are the subordinating conjunctions? I will show you later the next PPT. In with which how it can identify by, I will tell you small tips how we should tell the students to find out. See, do you know what you are going to wear? Which see here, it is coming without a comma. Can you identify which is the noun clause?
What you are going to wear?
What you are going to wear, can it stand alone? First, identify the main clause, subordinate clause. What you are going to wear, doesn't it make complete sense? You are asking a question, isn't it? Yes or no? So that becomes your main clause. It may be in the form of a question, it doesn't matter. So what will be your subordinate clause, the noun clause? Do you know?
Do you know? Yes.
That will be your noun clause. That is your subordinate clause. Do you know? Okay, first let us take up a sentence where it is without a question. The cave where I work is just over there. The cave where I work is just over there. Which is the main clause? Identify the main clause.
The cave is just over there.
Very good. The cave is just over there is your
Over
main
there.
clause.
Where I work, noun clause.
Where I work is noun clause. So we can just say the cave I work is over there. Where I work and all should you have to give?
Yes, ma'am.
See what I'm doing, where I work, I'm replacing it. Cave I work is just over there. I can replace it with another noun instead of telling it as a noun clause. Instead of saying where I work, I'm using the subordinating conjunction where to show the subordinate clause. Where I work, it can't stand alone.
Oh,
It's got
yes.
subject I, it has got a verb work. Where I work cannot stand alone, it has to have a main clause.
Yes, ma'am.
Where I work, I can simply change it to the cave I work is just over there. That also makes correct sense.
Where is hidden? That
No,
that
when
is
I don't say it with where, then there is no question of a noun clause. It is just a noun.
oh,
You can just say, I work in the cave. I work in that cave. I can just say that. I need not have two clauses. So I'm replacing where I work with just I. You are not able to understand. Shall we go to many more examples? Then you will be able to understand. See here. Oh, sorry. Wait.
Yes, ma'am. We shall see some other examples.
Wait. I'll show you the examples. See, when I say he knows how his business will prosper. He knows what he knows.
how his business prosper.
So when you ask to the noun clause, when you ask the verb in the main clause, first you should know to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. So here he knows is the main clause.
What
Okay.
he knows.
When I ask the question what to the main clause verb, what answer I get will be your noun clause.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. Correct. Understood, ma'am.
Yes? See,
Understood.
take the next one. That he got a medal surprises me. What surprises me? Surprises me is the main clause. What surprises me?
That he got a medal.
That he got a medal. How the thief got in is a mystery. What is a mystery?
How the thief got.
How the thief got in.
Got in.
Next, it all depends on what the council decides. On what does it depend?
What the council does.
What the council decides. Please tell me about what you plan to do tomorrow. Tell me, what is your plan? So I said I have to ask the question to the verb. What is your plan? Is my question right? I made a mistake.
I didn't follow, ma'am. This. Please tell me about what you
What you have
plan.
planned today.
Hmm.
Tell me what you're going to do tomorrow. I should have put it this way.
Tell me main clause.
Tell me what. Since it is already coming, the question what is coming, directly it is showing us it's a noun clause. What you plan to do tomorrow. You are save the idea of using the questioning verb what. See, nobody would understand what made him cry. What nobody could understand. When I went to the earlier one, leave that and come back to this. Nobody could understand what made him cry. What nobody could understand?
What made him cry?
What made him cry?
Will be your noun clause. Can you see where the car is? What are you seeing?
Can you see the car?
What are you seeing? Where the car is.
The cars.
What can you see? Where the car is. So when I ask the question, what to your subordinate, to your main clause, when you get an answer, that will be your noun clause. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
There are some more sentences. Wait, the exercises which I'm going to give it to you. One minute. I'll give you one or two more question sentences, then only you'll be able to understand. Okay. Take the third sentence. Okay. She made a vow that she would not eat meat for a week. She made a vow that she could not eat meat, that she would not eat meat for a week. Which clause you will identify this? First, identify the main clause. She made a vow. What was the vow?
Where it is?
Third sentence, ma'am. You're not able to see my
Yeah.
screen.
Meat for
Third
a week.
sentence, find the clause and the type of clauses in the sentence. She made a vow that she would not eat meat for a week. Can you see now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I told you the main clauses. She made a vow.
She made a vow.
So what should I ask? I should ask the question what? Yes? So whom should I ask? The verb. What did she make? What vow did she take?
Should not eat
Not
meat
meat,
for
meat.
That she would not eat meat for a week. So when I ask the question what, when I get that answer, so I will identify it as a noun clause. Yes?
Mm.
Is a noun clause clear? You want some more sentences for me to tell? You want some more sentences? Okay. He hoped that he would pass. He hoped that he would pass. Which is the main clause? Identify the main clause.
He hoped
He would
hoped
pass.
Main clause. Okay. This is hope
That he would
he
pass.
would pass.
that he would
He would
pass.
pass,
So
that he
what
would
clause
pass.
it is? So
Noun
it is
clause.
answering to
Noun.
the question what. So what clause it is?
Noun clause.
Noun
Noun
Clause. Very correct. Instead of using that, I will use some other conjunction, subordinating conjunction. There is no meaning in what he says. There is no meaning in what he says. Which is the main clause?
There is no meaning.
No
No
meaning
meaning.
is the main clause.
class.
So what kind of question I will ask for this?
There is no meaning
In what he says. How will you ask the question? What he says is the noun clause. I've asked you. You've identified the main clause, but how will I ask the question? What does not have a meaning?
what he says.
What he says
What
Does
he
not
says.
have
have a meaning.
Have a meaning?
What does not have a meaning? What he says is does not.
What he says.
Yes. some more sentences. If you want, I can post it for you as an
Yes,
activity. Shall we go on to the next clause?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Adjectival
Yes,
clause.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can next. So adjectival clause again will be, will be a subordinate clause only, will be become adjectival clause. When it will be an adjectival clause, when I have something describing about the noun in the main clause. When it will, I will call it as an adjectival clause, when it is describing the noun, because adjective is describing the noun, but not what is describing in the subordinate clause itself. It will be describing the noun in the main clause. An adjective clause begins with a relative pronoun such as whom, whose, which, or that, or a relative adverb when, where, or why. This type of clause includes a relative pronoun or an adverb alongside a subject and or a verb, similar to subordinate clause. An adjective clause is a dependent clause because it relies on the rest of the sentence to make sense. A good tip for remembering to spot an adjective clause is to watch out for certain words. The only words that can be used to introduce an adjective clause are relative pronouns. Which are the relative pronouns we use? Who,
Who's to
which, or that. And subordinating conjunctions when and where. See, they have told you this, but I am telling you another way to identify adjective clauses very easy is it will describe, say more about the noun in the main clause. The girl who has short hair is laughing. Which is the main clause?
The girl is laughing.
Girl is laughing. Very good. So who has short hair? Whom are we describing? Who's having short hair?
The girl.
The girl. Is it in the main clause? The girl is in the main clause?
Yes.
Yes. So when we are describing something which is in the main clause, then we call it as an adjectival clause. You may say, ma'am, he is saying short hair. Short is also a describing word, adjective. But if you take the whole clause as a whole, what is it describing? The girl in the main clause. Okay. Come to the next sentence and see. Toby, whose dad is a vet, lives next door. Which is the main clause?
Toby lives next door.
Toby lives next door.
Next door.
Whose dad is a vet. Vet,
Toby's dad.
veterinary doctor is telling. So is it describing Toby or is it describing anybody else?
Toby's
Toby
dad.
is the main.
Describing Toby.
You may say vet is describing his father, ma'am, dad. But on the whole, the clause is describing whom?
Toby.
Toby. It's giving extra information about Toby. So whose dad is a vet is your
Toby's
adjective.
dad.
So now you are able to identify how to identify. See, you have relative pronouns and subordinating conjunctions to show that it is adjectival clause. But another simple tip is it will add more information about the noun in the clause. That will be easy for you to identify it is an adjectival clause. The book which has the dragon on the cover is my favorite.
The book is my favorite.
Book is my favorite is a main clause. Which has dragon on the cover is your subordinate clause and adjectival clause. The stray cat that I pet sometimes is friendly.
The stray cat is
Cat is friendly.
Stray cat
is friendly.
Stray cat is friendly.
Yes. So the other adjectival clause is that I pet sometimes. See, you can-
Sometimes.
here it is noun clause because it is coming that. Students will identify because that is coming, it is noun clause. No, that I pet sometimes is describing about whom? The stray cat. It is giving extra information about the stray cat, which is in the main clause. So this will become an adjective clause, even though it has got the subordinating conjunction that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So
And
that is why what I am telling you, that is a very important fact. That is, it will describe the noun in the main clause. Those people whose names are on the list will go to the camp. So
Those people will go to camp.
those people will go to camp.
Camp.
Who are those people? Whose
Whose name-
names
Whose
are on
names
the
are
list?
on the list.
So it is describing the people, which is in the main clause. Okay, they have given that explanation only at the bottom. Is adjectival clause clear? So
Yes, ma'am.
for adjectival clause also, I have whatever they have given, I have given it as a table here. Who, whom, and whose used for people. The athletes who took part in the games won many medals. The athletes won many medals will be the main clause. Who took part in the games will be your subordinate clause, your adjectival clause. Mayank, whom we all love, is a true gentleman. Mayank is a true gentleman is the main clause. Whom we all love is the
Subordinate clause.
clause or the subordinate clause. So, which is used for both non-living and living. Used for non-living things and animals. The Commonwealth Games, which were held in Delhi, were a great success. The Commonwealth Health Games were a great success.
Main clause.
Which, yes, main clause, which were held in Delhi is your subordinate clause. It is
Yes.
describing which were held in Delhi is describing the Commonwealth Games. The horse which was wounded carried its master to safety. You may think, ma'am, this is also a living thing, but usually they come under non-living things. In that category, we generally use. For animals also, when we are using third person, we use it. We say it is a dog. We don't say he is a dog. Okay, next that. That is used with both people and things. That's what I said. That is used in nouns, in a noun clause and in adjectival clause. The man that I was talking about is a famous cricketer. The man is a famous cricketer is the main clause. That I was talking about. Whom was he talking about? About the man.
What
Man. The man.
Okay, so that becomes your adjectival clause. This is the house that Jack built. What I'm describing that Jack built is your noun adjectival clause. But what is it describing? It is describing the house in the main
house.
clause. This is the brush that Picasso used. Again, it is describing the brush in the main clause.
Yes.
Clear now, adjectival clause, how to identify
ma'am.
adjectival clause.
Clear, ma'am.
Shall we go next to the adverbial clause?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yes.
The main clauses is the next one is your adverbial clause. Here from the word adverb itself, just like it is doing adjective was doing something more about the, telling us more
Verb.
about the noun in the main clause. Here adverb will also say something more about the verb in the
The
main
verb.
clause. In the main clause, you have to remember that, not in the subordinate clause. Can anyone read this part?
Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
What are adverb classes? An adverb class is a dependent class that doesn't make sense on its own. It relies on another dependent class to make sense. This is why they are
Another dependent. No, you just
Another independent.
independent class to make sense. This is why they are sometimes called dependent adverb classes too. An adverb class offers a description and modifies the sentence similar to how an adverb does. It contains a subject and a verb, but it doesn't express a complete thought. Examples of adverb classes include: she walked slowly, she walked like an old lady, she walked as if she were heading to a gallows.
Yes. If you see actually, the first one, she walks slowly. Slowly is only an adverb. It's not an adverb clause.
This adjunct.
Yes, it's an adjunct. That's right. Next one, she walked like an old lady. So it is talking about walking or about the old lady. It is describing about her walking or about that girl, she. Whom does it
Walking.
describe?
About her action.
Describing about the
Her action.
So it becomes a like an old lady is here actually a comparison. We are not having a clause here also. Because like an old lady will be an adjectival phrase.
Yes,
Because when I
yes.
take like an old lady, does it have subject? Okay, old lady. But like is a verb here. Is like a verb here?
No,
No.
ma'am.
It
No.
is
No,
not
ma'am.
a function of
No,
a
ma'am.
verb. So this will only become an adjectival phrase. But
Yeah.
when you come to the next one only, actually, it is an adjectival clause. Because in both the clauses, you should have a subject and a predicate.
Yes. She. Subject. She is subject.
Walk, there she is the subject, walked is the predicate or the
Yes.
verb. As if
Yes,
she
she
were
is the-
heading to the gallows.
She is subject.
She
We are
is
heading to the
subject.
gallows.
Were heading.
To the gallows.
Yes,
That
were
is a
heading is your
predicate.
verb. It becomes were heading to the gallows will be your predicate. So
Predicate.
only the last sentence is an adverbial clause. She walked is the main clause. As if she were heading to the gallows will be your subordinate clause or
Subordinate clause.
adverbial clause. But adverbial clause alone, just like adverbs, will have many types. You can read this quietly for 2 minutes. Or if anybody wants to read, can read, can volunteer to read. Okay, Abhirami ma'am, read. You want to
Adverb
read or you want
clauses.
to go through? No,
We'll
I'm
go
not
through them.
forcing you, go through.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you all gone through? Go through, go through. Go, no hurry. Major 6 types only I have shown. Just like we have a adverbial clause of time, place, we have adverb where it denotes quality, quantity, all that we have. Now here we have certain like that. Clauses also. Adverb of manner, adverb of, we used to read, no, adverb of manner, adverb of place, adverb of time. Same way in the clause also it has come. See, which I talked about conditional clauses also here. If, unless, provided, in case, and whether also. These words. Oh, sorry, teachers. Shall we go on? Have you all gone through this? So adverbial clause of time denotes time naturally. So words like when, while, before, these will be used as the subordinating conjunctions to join. When, while, before, after, since, as soon as, as, alone, whenever, till, as long as, etc. I will go when the time is up. The children run as soon as the bell rings. He stays in office till he gets his work done. Jacob waited at the station till the train left.
Train left.
Then you have adverbial clauses of place. Naturally, words like where and wherever is used. You can go wherever you like to.
The book is lying where you left it.
Yes. The book is lying where you left it. So adverb clauses of purpose and
Yeah.
reason is slightly will be overlapping. That, so that, lest. In order that I studied hard so that I could learn. The purpose of my studying hard was to learn properly. Walk carefully lest you should fall down. Where do we use lest? When you are using otherwise, something like that.
Mm.
Otherwise, you will fall down.
Hold on.
Adverb clauses of reason. Because, as, since, now that, and that. Is it over? Shall I go on?
This one.
Is it over? All of you? Purpose,
Yes,
condition, if clauses are condition clauses. It's jumped off. Then manner, as if, as though, just like how we say manner for adverb of manner is also here adverb manner, adverbial clause of manner also. So some tips I have given at the end, how to identify a clause in a sentence. The simple way that you can identify the clause in a sentence is through its structure and choice of nouns, adjectives, and connectivities. Connectivities are nothing but your subordinate conjunctions. Read this simple breakdown in how to identify a clause. Noun clause, to identify whether a dependent clause is a noun clause. See if you can replace the clause with a pronoun or a noun. Adjective clause takes the place of an adjective in a clause or a phrase. It acts like an adjective. It describes a noun or a pronoun. It is also known as relative clause. So adjective clause is otherwise known as also as a relative clause. Then comes your adverbial clause. An adverb clause is a dependent clause that does not make sense on its own at all. What it's saying, it cannot make a sense on its own. It relies on another independent clause to make sentence. That is why they are sometimes called dependent adverb clauses. You can spot an adverb clause as it answers the question how, when, where, and why. It gives an explanation for the independent clause and provides more detail and information. So now coming to this extra examples, I don't think since it's past time, these PPTs I'll share, you can have your extra examples. See, this is the exercise. This also I'm going to share it with you. You can do this exercise. Be truthful. The answers are there at the end because for you to use it, I've given it with the answers. You can give it like a multiple choice. See, the next is at 6 to 10. There are totally 15 of them. And at the end of the 15th one, you have the answers also.